All right, click the links to our channel here over at subscribe, buy me coffee, the various other links. So the media bias is mask off at this point, but you should never legitimize the parasitical media vermin like the quirky chungus in the upper image by engaging in a struggle session, which Sweeney easily avoided. And she's been in the news a lot lately. It's like she's the only in a good way. And the left is trying to take her down because she's the wrong ethnic group. The thing is, the left has a worldview that gives values to concepts that other groups don't even accept as real or share the same definition of. So a conversation about it is pointless. And to say like Sweeney's on the right, I have no idea. But I can say compared to this useful idiot, who Orwell spoke about in 1984, then yeah, relative to her, she's probably on the right. So a vague accusation about a clothing advertising selling jeans is not worth engaging in because the greater concept doesn't matter. The interviewer is asking her to comment on a hypothetical of what other people think about a short advertisement. It's not important, or the real answer might be that she hasn't considered the hypothetical because it wouldn't matter either way. It's like, oh, well, you should consider it now. It's like, I really just don't have an emotional investment in what other people think about an advertisement. It just seems kind of dumb. And then you're calling the interviewer dumb, so you don't want to have that awkward moment. It's like, I haven't found it personally important. But to the left, to that kind of thing, useful idiot, I guess they pretend to find it important. In my heart of heart, I kind of doubt that deep down she cares about this kind of stuff at all. So the left anti-white crowd has a straw man universe built up, and they want us to comment on a part of it, but the foundation is so vague that we don't know what they're talking about. The questions are so stupid that there's no way to answer them. It's better to just skip them. One of the questions was something about Trump or right-wingers reacting to a clothing advertisement for pants and a jacket. The reporter wants to know, probably it's Israeli company, but it's probably just garbage made in China. So the reporter wants to know what she thinks about a theoretical situation of the body language, and this is fantastic, of a wrong thinker, a wrecker of progress, laughing at some stupid ad. And she probably doesn't think about it at all because she doesn't care. It's an advertisement for clothing. She went in, did it, and then moved on to whatever movie she's making next. If you like the design of the pants, just go buy the pants. It's just not that deep. If Trump likes the ad, then go talk to him, you whiny pussy. The quirky, socially compliant Chungus who jerks off to her Nazi fantasies. And yeah, the left wing is deeply weird. That is a liberal woman genre. I say this because I saw a book in my neighborhood library that was just what I said. It's absolutely... There's some deeply disturbed women out there. So the left is the thing is, there's deeply disturbed people out there, but the focus is only on men, and then you look at women's literature and you're like, this is really, really out in left field. So the thing is, the left is so deeply mentally ill, and they believe entire concepts that we don't. And the trans thing, which admittedly is kind of fading away, I feel pretty bad for the people who have made irreparable changes to their body. That's got to be friggin' brutal. So then they extrapolate from like a false premise, and they have a foundation that's built on a cloud. Actually, a lot of it really is just this kind of resentment from fat positivity was a thing, the movement where nobody does, probably like 2015, and then it all kind of faded out as a lot of their leading spokespeople died of heart attacks in their 40s because, morbid obesity. It's like, this is peak Weimar gaslighting, trying to sell people on things that are just not reality. But a lot of it is this. It's like she has great genes. And the thing is, people are sidestepping that issue, and you go, yes. There's a bell curve of genetic expression, and objectively, yes, some are better than others. Like what would you call, malformations to the gene expression? It's like you call those bad. So some people have better genes than others. And like, oh, eugenics is such a like a haram topic. And who said it was a haram topic? The left is so deeply mentally ill, and they believe things that are just on different planets from us. Because if I don't believe that anyone is trans because men can't be women, well, the entire concept is meaningless, and they will deflect from that circular definition of they think men can be women. It's like, well, then you render both words meaningless by creating a circular definition. Then anything they ask after that about trans is pointless, because they're just asking about two biological sexes. Should men be in women's changing rooms? It doesn't matter how you like substitute out that word men, and you go, oh no, but we're going to dress up the men as something else, and we're going to modify this word. But it doesn't change the underlying reality, and we just have a different agreement on it, different. A lot of it is just political correctness, is forcing the left to believe things that are not in accord with reality. I go, no, men shouldn't be in the women's changing room, and women shouldn't be in the men's changing room. They're sexual divisions of people for purpose, because people want sexual divisions. They don't want to be in these private spaces. They feel comfortable with their own sex, because men are men. Men shouldn't be allowed to compete in sports with women. It doesn't matter if you put a modifier before that word and say, oh, well, these are a special category of men. It's like, well, yeah, we just don't agree with that. That's what the men's league is for. They can label it transphobia, except that's not a word, because it doesn't actually refer to something real. You can't have an irrational fear of a cultural Marxist fictional construct. And none of those constructs are real, because they're not universal. Anti-Semitism, the trans, gay, phobic, Islam, whatever, none of those are real things. These groups don't get special treatment because they say so. So the terms are constructs to manipulate people into accepting a narrative that is decidedly been anti-white. Affirmative action and DEI is literally anti-white discrimination. I just proved it's a real thing. But the left wing won't accept true things, and they want us to accept fictional, cultural, Bolshevik constructs. That's why left wing and right wing people are just talking past each other now. It's like the Tower of Babel just keeps, I guess, growing. They whine about racism against some group, and we mentioned, well, we're focusing on racism against European people, so we don't share each other's concerns or even accept that they're necessarily real. So it's like if we're not even talking on the same plane of existence. They say, oh, BLM back in 25 years ago, and we go, oh, well, WLM, and they go, we're not talking about that now. Oh, but we are. Oh, I guess we'll just go our own ways then. I mean, like, it's just like children eventually getting to the point of saying, I'm not touching you. And even like the right wing goes, oh, why don't we compromise and say all lives matter? And that's not good enough for the left. And what happened? Well, after BLM stole hundreds of millions of dollars, well, it just dissolved, and nobody was held accountable. So they think things like Trump are far right, except that he's not right-wing at all. If he was, he would have closed the borders and deported 40 million Mexicans and not imported Indians to replace American jobs. That's insane if that's your definition of right-wing. That's the definition of a globalist. Trump is a globalist president. He's not doing anything except giving money to Israel, and he's not doing any of the things he promised he would do. And they think Trump is as far right-wing as Hitler, because they're not thinking, they're just speaking from emotion. There's a lot of Pavlovian responses to the left that bypasses cognition. And to be fair, it happens on the right as well. And you can trigger the right, like the MAGA normie kind of right, by saying, a long time ago they'd say things like support the troops and essentially saying like support the troops after they come back. It's like, yeah, support them, put them on the Mexican border, bring them back, because founding fathers didn't want us in wars on the other side of the planet. They didn't give a shit about that idea. Or you ask them like, well, so why exactly are we on the other side of the planet? And they don't have a good answer for it. But the right one will get mad at you even for daring to have the audacity to ask. So they think like Trump is the Austrian corporal. they're just repeating things. The things they say are objectively unfounded, but they say them anyway. Even using the dimension of a line as it's like a vague approximation of left or right wing politics, and it's not really important because it's a label, but it doesn't discuss the underlying political issues. I mean, to label something left and right, it's like penultimate. It's similar to the low IQ kids on Twitter who've been programmed to call each other racist. It's not relevant to the substantive argument because it doesn't add anything to the argument. It's essentially in the realm of ad hominem because it labels the speaker. It doesn't address the argument. It's not probative and relevant at all. It was like that, who's that guy, Hassan Meaty discussion? He was talking to a bunch of like 20-year-olds, and he had some comment with, I don't know, some guy is like, I forget the guy's name, like Frogwave or something. Said some comment sounded like fascism. And the other guy was wondering, well, who cares? Why are you labeling an area of discussion such a thing? Like, why is it relevant to, like, we're having this discussion right now? And Hassan says, well, because I don't have discussions with those. I don't talk to fascists. And that struck me as important because it was Hassan admitting that he was something like he's got a religious belief about dogma, and some things to him are haram, they're off limits. He wanted to have a discussion with different viewpoints with the caveat of the big but, not anyone who he labeled as a fascist or even who maybe even self-labeled as such, but like at no point do they start defining terms, which was what the left is terrified to do. So then, like, you didn't really want diversity of thought. You wanted a conversation within your accepted religious worldview, and most of the world would meet his elements of the definition of fascism, so he wouldn't be able to talk to most Arabs, Jews, Asians, Africans of any sort, or even go back in time and talk to the Allied soldiers, because their views were almost exactly the same as the Axis power views. In fact, in some cases, the American views were even harsher because familiarity breeds contempt, of course. What Hassan meant was that he wouldn't talk to European nationalists because he's a globalist parasite and he's terrified of a discussion with somebody who points out that, well, if he just was deported home, he could go advocate for open borders for his homelands. But he's not doing that. Like, he's a globalist. He's advocating to destroy the West. So the reporter tries to pressure Jugs Sweeney to comment on something that other people might think. Just go ask them the stupid questions. How can she disavow something that the Chungus reporter hasn't defined? And the threat is if she answers wrong, then she'll be blacklisted by Hollywood globalists. So the reporter is asking for a comment that has only one politically correct perspective to it. So the reporter is gambling with Sweeney's acting career by asking all these irrelevant gotcha questions. Why not just go ask the Israeli clothing company why they framed the commercial like that? They're the ones, I don't know who the ad company was, but they're the ones who signed off the approval on it. Sweeney just acted in a 15-second ad. The better answer would be, yeah, that question is gay and retarded, and you can suck my dick for being so stupid with your lame facial expressions, you dumb bitch. White people are awesome. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.